is, which I dare say we are. Let's see where the ladies are at with this one. Necra, Lemon, are you part of the 26% of believers?
Yeah,
that's a no.
I am.
Yeah. These are people.
I mean, the chatter believers of the Glads, but the desk, I mean, you guys are really confident about London. I don't know. I gotta say London are on that match streak. I don't think it's ending here.
I don't think so. I don't think it can. I don't care. Johnny, you get boomed. Like, so always make your lead in Preds for this Pred right here. Because I think the London Spitfire have a great chance to be able to continue that winning streak, especially looking at how dominant their performance was last week. But the Gladiators do prove to be a bigger test of strength for them and whether or not they can make this rush comp continue to work.
I'm excited to get into this match, but I'm also so excited to be here with you, Rose.
Oh, same. How could I gloss over that?
I know, it's like Vicky changed her hair up a little bit, but super excited to jump on the western side of things, and equally stoked for a new face to be joining us, Cal, for the LA Gladiators. First match for them, newly signed, and we did take notice that Gladiators are experimenting with that backline.
They are. We've seen a lot of different iterations of the backline because of how many incredible support players that are on the Los Angeles Gladiators. But for some reason, they've been struggling, not really finding their groove on the two backline supporters that they would really like to have in that roster and fill up those roles, especially when the meta is ever changing. We're seeing a lot of double flex support now, and also just seeing kind of a lot of the standard staples of that Brig and Ana.
Yeah, Gladiators starting with a lot of Babel and Lastro. Then just recently in that match, Funny Astro and Babel played the entire series. Usually you only saw Funny Astro on Lucio maps or mainly Control, but Cal comes in alongside Funny Astro. Everyone debating what comps they want to play, but Lijiang Tower, this is not the spot you want to meet London on.
No, I don't think so. I actually believe that Hadi is telling the truth, that he's likely going to come out on the Reinhardt. I would be omega shocked if the Pharah actually stuck for Kevster, but at the end of the day, we have seen a lot of teams start to experiment around a little bit more with the Echo as well as just the Pharah in general. But it looks like it was all a debate all along for Kevster anyway, and we're just going to see both compositions get mirrored on either side.
Yeah, it was an earlier TP there from London. Good Maywall to block the one door. LA Gladiators already had a deficit. The Immortality came up from Cal just to buy them time, but London will not let you breathe. They will suffocate, and that'll be the first map for London, or the first fight for London.
That could be the first map for London. I don't know. That was a pretty decisive fight for me, to be honest. And that's something that you should come to expect of this London Spitfire team. They have been really well known for this Reinhardt rush composition. And after they ended up struggling being able to execute that dive, we heard from Backbone himself, why play the dive if they aren't winning on it? They should go with something that's comfortable, and that is this composition in particular.
Ant Matrix up a little bit earlier there for Landon, hoping to be able to defend the point with this once it comes up. Usually the first ult, but Hadi's been swinging at these doors, collecting so much ult charge. The Shatter is up. Does Marvel even know? It's halfway there to the Shatter, the TP behind! Gladiators could not see it coming. What a setup from Sparker. And London Spitfire take a second fight.
That was such whiplash for me. And look at Hadi doing that with just a stone cold expression on his face. He knows exactly what he did. That was amazing and frame perfect as well. As soon as you saw that Earthshatter go up from Hadi, the TP was down and everybody on the Gladiators were on their backs. But at the very least, these fights have been super quick. Gladiators can get back into this one, and they're starting to have ultimates of their own up.
On a Photon Barrier, it's going to be the big one. You can pop this early in the fight just to keep your half of the point, but it's Ant Matrix first, countered by the Photon Barrier. There is the Blizzard from Backbone right at the left door. Gladiators can kind of show their faces on the right, but the Photon Barrier is not allowing any damage to hit London. Meanwhile, Gladiators seem to be exposed. They've lost one. It's not the best Photon Barrier from Kevster. Not enough coverage. Cal booped away from his team. And this is looking like a flawless, maybe I was right after all, map one for London.
I think you called it as soon as you saw it. Right now they're even staggering out Kevster as well. What a beautiful stagger to make sure that London Spitfire give themselves the absolute best chance. And Marvel is isolated.
Hadi going on the date with Marvel at the bottom of the map. There's Blizzard, maybe one last touch there by Glads. I think that's Yaki and Funny Astro making their way there, and it is winnable once, I guess, Hadi takes himself out of the picture, so it won't be that flawless of a run after all.
Okay, well, I think that may have been Hadi giving a little bit of the bone over to the Gladiators there. But at the very least, London Spitfire identified that they were going to lose that fight, especially when Marvel's come back. You have the rest of the team of the Gladiators there as well. But London Spitfire have got ult economy. They've got 3 ultimates. They didn't throw any of the support ultimates at that last fight, and now they've got them now to finish the job.
Good Maywall from Yaki, denied the Ant Matrix just for a sec, so Glad could rotate away, but they didn't want to give up the point. So Marvel jumps in, gets swung at by Hadi, sound barrier, so London Spitfire can just push into the Glad, poop them off on the coast side, and Gladiators gave up way too much space because of the Ant Matrix, and it was just a bad call. London Spitfire will take over.
So the gentleman's agreement happening right there, yeah? The Reinhardt's squaring up against each other. I think that checks out. The honorable rush duel, as Backbone would put it.
I know the chat was favoring Glad. Shields up has... There's still believers out there, but if you thought that Marvel was going to win a Rhine matchup against Hadi, you might be off of the goop. But Control Center is definitely not the round that Gladiators want to go to, but now switching it up to, what does Hadi call it? The poor man's rush? With the
poor man's rush. I don't know if this is going to stick. Maybe it does. Maybe in anticipation of something that comes out from the Gladiators. When you look at the Ramatra versus the Reinhardt rush, there are definitely still some implications on whether or not it's going to be the Junker Queen or the Ramatra or the Reinhardt that ends up winning out that matchup, but it's going to be the tried and true here for London Spitfire. But where things start to get really interesting is take a look at what Sparker and Kevster are playing. They're going with these long-range hit scans, and that's something that Kevster is incredibly well known for. So let's see if that can be a difference maker here.
London took server control, and this is sort of an uncommon rotation that the Gladiators just did, coming from up top, hoping to get some poke in. London didn't take cover. Kevster drops, picks off Backbone, but Marvel takes way too much poke on the entry. London missing a lot of damage. Glads, though, don't have a tank, so Hadi's going to try and back up. The Maywall from Yaki is going to prevent that. Hello! Hadi just runs over Yaki like a truck, but that opens up the backline while Hadi was missing, so you have this exchange where Gladiators seem to be coming out on top for now.
Looks like Backbone's going to try to come in and get a bit of a recontest. Still not a risk that London Spitfire are willing to take, but at the very least, maybe Landon getting a little bit more ultimate charge. I don't know. We're gonna be... Jury's still out on that one, but regardless, backline for the London Spitfire are back, and we're gonna see an honorable 5v5.
Yeah, Maywall from Backbone. It's an isolate Marvel. He's able to get around that. London taking a lot of space. Behind them is Yaki, and Hadi closes the gap. He's going to pin in, forces Yaki back to server. Now, Hadi and friends gave up a lot of space due to just trying to check Yaki there. Ant Matrix from Landon is trying to buy back that real estate. Seems like it worked out for London. Glads have to be careful, just like on Night Market, how much space they're giving up. It is tough to take that back against such an aggressive team like London, as the Cal Ant Matrix forces London in this stalemate.
We're gonna see the stalemate for now, but take a look at Hadi. The Earth Shatter ready means that it's gonna be about go time, unless Kevster has anything to say about that.
Yeah, the Hadi Shatter got Marvel on his knees, but Kevster had his back all along, and once Marvel got up, made everyone from London sit back down with that annihilation. So Gladiators haven't lost a point throughout this too.
They have not. They haven't lost a team fight either, and that's starting to look pretty scary when you look at the London Spitfire's ultimate bank. You've got the Sparker Dragon Strike. That's a great way to be able to get through this choke. You might have to just full send it and then try to capitalize.
Oh, the Dragon Strike, the Maywall. London Spitfire just putting down the red carpet. Not really getting affected there by the Yaki Blizzard. As Gladiators fall back to the point, it'll be up to Backbone how he wants to set this up. Ideally taking control of server, seeing how close to the backline. Well, the backline is actually up top. Cal force down, needs to heal Marvel. Soundbear for Funny Astro as maybe a reaction to this Blizzard. Kevster on the coast side is still a threat, and Backbone trying to keep him in check. The Blizzard from Backbone too didn't freeze anyone, as Gladiators going to use the sound barrier.
Ooh, the sound barrier is going to give so much sustain, but Sparker's able to find Marvel, and that might be enough for London Spitfire to start grabbing the point. But it feels like it almost might be too little too late. They've got to start cleaning up these pieces.
Has to be a perfect game, yeah, from London, going from 0 to 100 to be able to win this map. And this is what we thought London were going to be best at, is control center.
Maybe we shouldn't speak too soon. London Spitfire, it's my fault. Reinhardt with the Earth Shatter here. I think Hottie is definitely looking at an opportunity to use this. Take a look at how he's kind of balancing himself against the wall, wants to make sure that Marvel's shield goes down, and that's something that you can see Sparker and Backbone heavily helping out with so that this Earth Shatter can land. It's going to be the first ultimate up here for Spitfire, if not for the Dragon Strike.
Oh, Hottie's already half health, lost his armor. Marvel wants to push this. Tango's there with Hottie. Immortality comes up from Landon. Then it's so many ultimates, including the Annihilation from the Gladiators. Yaki with an early Blizzard could be throwing this in. This is the last fight that Gladiators need to win. It's a Blizzard right at the steps of the point. London have to get around this, but Admiral dies before he could use the sound barrier. Great initiative by the Gladiators. And these ultimates that Spitfire had just never came out.
Never came out, but I don't think that they were able to. I mean, take a look at how Kevster locked everybody down with the overclock. Both times that Kevster had that online, it was multiple players at once. And while the Ramatra Annihilation from Marvel is able to help be able to pick up the rest of the pieces, that was still a great wombo combo for the Gladiators. But now this is where things start to get really tricky. You can still use those long-range hit scans. Kevster probably wants to stick to the Sojourn here, maybe if not the Symmetro to get out of spawn. We'll see where he ends up going from there. But London Spitfire have had a way of working these rush compositions in spaces you would not expect. So let's see what's going to happen on this next round.
The Orisa, the Pharah, the Sojourn. Gladiators really creative with this one, but the Pharah, the whole point, to spray and pray, the burst damage around the sides of the point. It's not going to be a hero that's going to be too present on the point unless your team is already there. Kevster too can poke at different angles. London hit with a 4-man anti there from Cal. Marvel can bully a Reinhardt quite well. As soon as that shield drops too, the Javelin can push the Rein back. But Marvel took a lot of poke on entry, already 50%. And that 4-man anti that Cal hit didn't help too much. But all you want to do if you're Glads is dwindle London down.
Take a look at how much they're doing that too. Yaki is already 20% away from a barrage, and with Admiral going down here as well, spell and disaster right now for the Spitfire unless they're able to play around these pillars and May walls.
Yeah, Landon and Admiral's back must be hurting because they've just been, all they have to do is keep London alive through all of the poke. And Yaki, his impact was known on that right window. You saw Admiral come out and try and boop him away, but it wasn't enough for Glads to get through.
Gladiators have the Rocket Barrage online. Maybe that's something they can use to be able to get back into this fight. But this composition is slow. Kevster and Yaki are both looking for a pick to try to engage on this. And Sparker having the Cassidy up and running is going to be a nice check to either Yaki Xpera or Funny Astro's Mercy. But you can't always rely on the Cassidy to be able to land those shots and also make sure that you're still playing together with the team. So Spitfire still have to play together, still have to play aggressive. That's where you're going to see Hottie hold up close to that bridge, make sure that Marvel can't get any real estate.
And the Deadeye is very impactful against the Pharah. Just able to charge that up while they are out in the open. It's like sound barrier from Spitfire, just to hold on to the space that they do have. But up and above is Yaki waiting for his moment with the barrage while trying to avoid any shots from Landon or Sparker. Here's the Blizzard from Backbone who got slept. Glads found a moment behind to use the barrage. And it's Yaki who's just a huge menace for London, who will be losing the point for the first time.
I think that's okay though if you're London. Yeah, you ended up using the sound barrier, did allow you to stay alive to be able to rotate back to the point, and then Backbone's May Blizzard ended up being used just to be able to kind of keep that bridge in check, but Spitfire walked away with 80% of that first point in their control, and now they're going to end up having 3 other ultimates to come back in and contest with this. It's going to be tough to approach there as Yaki and Kevster are both going to be locking down all of the entry points, but there are ways that London Spitfire can start to play this really aggressively. Where is Landon going to put this amplification matrix? That's going to be enough to be able to push anybody back, especially when Sparker has that Deadeye available.
Well, when Marvel's the only one who can hold the point, he's going to be easily pushed off, and he's kind of overstaying his welcome, using the Fortify to also not allow himself get pinned. Marvel gets healed back up to full. Kevster with the overclock gets rid of the immortality. Haughty with the shatter, probably blocked there by the fortification from Marvel, who gets nanoed, and now he's anchored for good on this point.
All right, Marvel doing a great job of being able to hold his own against the Reinhardt. And after an onslaught of ultimates as well from the Spitfire, they have to go back to the drawing board. Use this Lucio sound barrier aggressively to be able to get back into the game. And Sparker's Deadeye can still be a fantastic zoning tool to make sure that Yaki doesn't have too many free shots onto the rest of the team. But as it stands, one more fight. Yaki's got the Rocket Barrage online, and if London Spitfire aren't careful and they don't have this Immortality field up, it's gonna be game over and map over.
Yeah, can Gladiators beat the Rush team on the Rush map? You gotta worry about this barrage, though. Yaki not positioned over this roof as he would ideally like to be. Spitfire take the initiative. They pull the trigger on the sound barrier, and the Deadeye only used to take care of Marvel, so you don't have that automatic answer maybe to Afar besides your just vanilla mechanics. On the side, though, is Yaki, and London are just gonna ignore him, throw a wall in his face there by Backbone, but Yaki barrages right in front of Dojo, where London were able to take cover from. Meanwhile, Gladiators have someone flipping the point, might be Kevster. It's London, now that they're healed back up, they got their cooldowns, they want to contest this one last time, but Hottie shot in the face by Kevster, slowed by his cooldowns, and Gladiators have to defend one last time, and Sparker's gone too! Kevster, too much of a threat, and London now race to keep this overtime burning.
The Maywall on point is going to be enough to be able to stall for London Spitfire to be able to get back onto the point and touch, but there's still Yaki on the ceiling. What do you do to get him down?
Oh, now that you've taken care of Yaki, I don't think this is resable for Funny Astro. He knows that. Goes back to Kevster to pocket him. London are going to try to counter-rotate just to go into a covered position, but then they get picked before they find that safety. Landon's gone, limited heals, but now that Backbone's on the Pharah, he's gonna teach Kevster and Yaki a lesson. Funny Astro manages to fly away. Backbone back to the sky, takes him off, and this is quite literally the fight that never ends. But now that London have control, they're gonna be flipping shortly. There's not a lot of people from Glads that can contest this. Marvel's now on the point as Doom, but this is gonna be tough.
It's going to be tough, but you can see how well Gladiators are trying to rotate around this, but it's a matter of time. Sparker's got the pulse bomb. If it lands, this is over.
Oh, the stick! Yeah, that is over. Great swaps from London, including the Backbone Pharah. Gladiators knew that it was going to be hard to attack with the Pharah again, going to the Sojourn Tracer. You see London are happy with how they did. Round 3, though, that was a nail-biter.
It really was. Gladiators put up a great fight in that first game as well. Taking a look at how Kevster was able to use the Sojourn, zone away the rest of the rush, I think Gladiators have found the tools they'd like to work with in order to try to beat this Reinhardt composition. To see if it continues to work, though. I think Kevster, if he's able to have that real estate to work with, even if we can get Kai into the mix, good stuff.
Yeah, London had the better Symmetra TP, the better strats. They knew how to give and take that space on Night Market. Control Center was a little wacky. I like kind of Cal's creativity of going up top on the Baptiste. And I think Gladiators played that chess match on Control Center a lot better. Back and forth they went. Kevster's Sojourn, though, made a huge impact at range. And you know how fast London could be. You go Sojourn, so you're able to jump away. Kevster, with all the freedom that he had, was able to just pop off when he needed to.
Good stuff coming in from Cal as well. I want to go ahead and shout out the newest member of the team. They did an amazing job being able to give healing over to Marvel, which allowed him to go in and get the big engagements for the team as well. I think that's going to be something really important to keep an eye on, too, to see how this rest of this match is going to unfold.
Well, London take map number 1, and after this break, we're going to go to Midtown to see if Gladiators can come back. song is a banger. And also, gotta appreciate Sano, who's got the money next to his ear like a telephone. Love this. Landon, what's with the eye roll, man? Map 1 went in London's favor. Something y'all should be happy about.
I think that they should be happy, but I think they also should be cautious moving forward. Los Angeles Gladiators gave them a pretty tough time, especially when you take a look at how Kevster's Sojourn was able to help lock down a lot of the space that Marvel had created for the team. And now we're going to end up seeing a switch in the roster as well, as Yaki goes out and Kai comes in. As we're heading over to the Midtown, I am so excited to see both of these DPS duos in the Gladiators.
Yeah, I was wondering how much of Kai was going to be used. Felt like he was a little bit in like Widow jail when it comes to Gibraltar, was almost a little stubborn to swap away from that, although it is a pretty Widow heavy map. But we've seen also Kai on occasions run the Ashe, or just trying to be that reliable hit scan that Gladiators need, which is exactly what Midtown is going to be calling for. You know, exactly what London are going to be cooking up. Gladiators try to counter this on Night Market, or sorry, on Gardens, using that Pharah poke, using the Kevster's Sojourn, which I think was quite successful. You make London almost get impatient and force themselves out of cover, which were moments that Gladiators could have taken advantage of. But once the dice were on the table at 99.99, London just pulled through.
Apparently, Kai's gonna go Junkrat.
Pharah
Junk. Please, please give us the Pharah and the Junkrat. Throw all of our analysis out the window. Just go Pharah Junkrat, please. Could you imagine Attack Rat?
I've seen some weird stuff in the West. I'm not gonna lie. And honestly,
Actually,
Junkrat has been seen. But Kai
it's
on
not
the
shock,
Hanzo,
though.
yeah, that's true. We'll leave the shock one alone. Kai, I think on the Hanzo can be a budget rat though. The burst of the Stormbow can be next level.
Okay, I think that's a great point. We'll see Kai start with the Hanzo right now, so at least not going to be on the Widowmaker. I think this map, it would be really tough to be able to run that with much consistency, but Hadi's already kicking off this defense pretty strong.
Interesting that Cal is there. Actually, Gladiators are trying to move through Laundry. I'm surprised they still committed to that, despite Funny Asher getting fire striked at the beginning.
Fire trucked?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. No, I don't think you ever want to be in a small room with Hadi's Reinhardt. That just doesn't sound like that ends super well for anybody that walks into that situation. But Gladiators coming back here, going to try to go underneath the rail car this time around. They can make their way forward. You saw Marvel try to create some space a little bit there with the cooldowns, but Sparker on the Hanzo gets a chance to dish it back a little bit.
See if Gladiators are going to commit to rotating Laundry in that back alley just to avoid poke. Sparker is so far away. I think even with the speed and the power of friendship, Gladiators will have a hard time reaching that Hanzo. So Gladiators stick to the alley, going maybe to the fire station. Kai's been isolated though, in his own spawn of all places. Hadi makes sure with the pin he gets him back, but now getting back to the point, they've given up a take just for one kill. Is this going to work out for London? Well, they'll take the point right back. You have to give up a tick for that.
Was it not too bad though? If you're gonna see Kevster use the Blizzard already, all you use is the amplification matrix, I think you're feeling pretty good about yourselves. Spitfire get a chance to hold on to the Blizzard of their own, and when you also have the Dragon Strike up, you're not too worried about having to withstand another onslaught from the attack. You can just sit on the back of point, wait for the Gladiators to come to you, and then you can strike. Which is even more important because Hadi does have the Earth Shatter. You're not necessarily looking to wrap around at this point to try to sneak behind the Gladiators. You just want to hit them where it hurts, and that just might be taking it to their face.
And Kai is like, please don't leave me behind. He's gonna come
Not again.
So Kai learning from that lesson, because apparently London would pin for that. That was an insane rotation by Hadi. Now they're gonna bunker down. London also have the Blizzard. What is that pin? I don't know who he just took out. Marvel though, down for the count. Had a Gladiators initiate. It's just gonna be relying on the poke, and London are not gonna let them do that. They're gonna Soundbeer engage into them. Admiral's gonna backhand Kai at the fire station, and now you boot Kevster so you can, well, stagger him out more. Jeez, London are just controlling this map.
They only have 1 minute left. Gladiators in sub 1 minute territory to be able to come back in and try to get the rest of this point. 2/3 still to go. It's going to be off the back of Marvel's Annihilation as well as Funny Astro's Sound Barrier. There should be a ton of power coming into this point, which Spitfire don't have the answer for anymore. You're really looking at that Immortality Field from Landon to be able to keep yourselves up. Backbone though, kicking things off.
Annihilation. This needs to be removed ASAP. Sound Barrier from Funny Astro was trying to save Marvel, but Gladiators just didn't have the ults for that. To be honest, the Shatter and a Blizzard committed by London. Gladiators should just be resetting right now without Marvel, but I'm not sure how they think this is winnable, but I guess they caught Hadi a little bit eager. Now Gladiators have a 1 to 2 man advantage. Marvel will be back on the Doomfist. He got a Blizzard from Kevster just to confirm these last couple of kills. And Gladiators turn around a 4v5.
And they have to in the nick of time. That was so close. Overtime is already activated, and the Gladiators are able to get it done. Marvel's beelining it to the spawn as well. Gonna go ahead and switch back over to the Ramatra to give themselves a little bit more of a fighting chance against this London Spitfire Reinhardt rush. London already going to take control of this high ground. Wait for the Gladiators to round that corner. Not going to be easy for the Spitfire to just walk up against them, but you're going to see Hadi try. Take the corner.
Yeah, just holding this corner. London have to be careful with how aggressive they are, especially where Marvel will choose to challenge Hadi or walk past Hadi and maybe get after Admiral and Landon. Speaking of which, Hadi just runs them down first. You would have liked to see maybe a Cal Amp Matrix or something to stop this push from London, but it's so hard with how aggressive they are. Kevster's now getting staggered too.
Oh, that's so sad. The ice block into just getting absolutely thwacked by the hammer. And that's going to be so much time for the Gladiators' time bank whittled away. The Dragon Strike is a great tool to have when Kai comes back, as the Dragon Strike will be able to help clear off the cart, but Sparker is also on fire. This Dragon Strike from him also ready to send down main.
See if this works out. Kevster headshots Backbone. That's an entry there for Glaz, especially a tank advantage for Marvel now that it doesn't have to deal with a Maywall in his face. Hadi Shatter, 2 on the ground. Kevster and Marvel get the immortality from Cal, but the pin does so much burst to Marvel, and then you're just gonna throw a Dragon Strike up top. Kevster tried to use the Blizzard to maybe stop London from running them down like a bulldozer, but didn't work out.
Ooh, these are still some picks coming through from the Gladiators, though. If they're able to keep this up, maybe they get a chance to start moving this cart past the midway point. Landon goes down, and that's going to be some of the final reinforcements for London Spitfire that have to back away and make it to that high ground once again. So great stuff for the Gladiators to get this cart rolling again, and when they have Funny Astro Sound Barrier as well, what a nice response to Backbone's Blizzard. Gladiators can play close to the cart without a worry that they're going to get zoned off.
Yeah, you don't want to give up this high ground control to London so they could decide if they want to jump from the front to the back. But Gladiators also have to take this fight on the card. They don't want to leave a single person there. You never know if London is just going to try to engage onto that, but exactly why you don't give up the high ground to London. They get to choose when they want to engage. It's the Blizzard at the feet of Gladiators. Funny Astro responds with the Sound Barrier. And Gladiators only had an Annihilation in the tank after that, and they are getting trades, and it's up to Marvel to put the team on his back, but it has to return quickly to the cart because Backbone's taking a 1v1. Gladiators in overtime can't give this up, but it's, what, a 3 versus 2 in favor of the defense, and Gladiators are not going to be able to pull through.
Oh, the May wall as well to just keep Funny Astro from touching the cart again. Still a far distance for that cart to have gone after struggling to get past that first objective. Gladiators in overtime start to get the cart rolling, and now we get a chance to see how they're going to do on the defense, which I feel Kevster and Kai should fare better on that. They get a chance to set up. They aren't the ones that have to actually initiate with Marvel. They can just sit there and do their thing as long as space is being created and Marvel can keep up.
I like that Gladiators, you know, we talked about the experimentation around their backline. Funny Astro was their Lucio god, always incorporating him when they wanted to go fast. And Cal, in their first match, I think is having an amazing time. You know, I think the only thing I would have liked to see an earlier Amp Matrix, more initiative, but obviously as a new player and incorporating a new player, Glads are still adjusting to that. The rush only getting about halfway to point B could have been better, could have been worse, and it was a tough decision for Glads to either go for the full high ground while having someone on the card for the overtime push, then deciding to drop down as a team and take the fight there. But then London knew once they were on top of the bridge by themselves, they could choose at what end of the bridge they wanted to drop on to get the shatter, the blizzard, whatever. Caught Gladiators completely off guard.
It's nice when you're able to get that pincer. Can't have your head on a swivel all the time. And so London Spitfire get the drop on them, and now they get a chance to come out of the spawn doors on their own attack. It's going to be mirrored compositions. Kevster actually going to stick to the Mei at this point. And I do think this composition fares much better for the Gladiators on the defense. London Spitfire approaching from the same direction, or maybe even just getting a fake out. I don't know if they know exactly what they want to do.
Yeah, London trying to fake them out, seeing how much of the Gladiators are going to stuff through that corridor, that back alley. As London also can just try to draw Marvel towards them, see if they can Mei-wall him off. But for now, London seem to have broken through that main choke. Now trying to speed through this fire station, its left side building for any kind of cover. Now he got a random pin from Hadi, which catches Marvel. Has to go into formed for the block and a bit of extra armor and survive this. Hadi now gets overwhelmed, as Hadi was the one who took Marvel on a trip, and he's the one who paid for it at the end. Now London without Hadi, it's not going to be possible.
Get a quick reset, come back in. Landon has the amplification matrix, be able to zone away the Gladiators, but the Gladiators at this point are going to have to play around the spawn. And for some reason, Admiral is still running around up there. It's a nice bait, that's for sure, because look at this, Marvel's alone.
Kevster caught completely off guard there. Hadi pinned in, and I wonder if he just realized that the ice block from Kevster was out. And that is a great moment for a rush to engage. Any of Mei's cooldowns, a wall, an ice block, is that window of opportunity that the opposite rush team needs to take. London take even more real estate just to make sure that there's no recontest, and London are going to have a time bank advantage off of this quick cap.
4.5 minutes is a lot of time to work with, and they only needed the amplification matrix to be able to get that done, and they're walking up to 4 more ultimates here. Sound barrier is going to be great. Sparker can send the Dragon Strike down through main, and Spitfire have a ton of territory that they can grab right now. The only thing that the Gladiators have is the amplification matrix of their own, but if Spitfire keeps striking first, that is a great way for London Spitfire to push this card over the line.
Hadi's looking for a shatter too, you know it. And if it just targets Marvel, just like on Control Center, it may not be enough, especially with the support ults that could come out from Gladiators. I like Cal's positioning here on the top bridge. Even an earlier Amp Matrix, once London commits a bit farther out to the open, Gladiators at least throw out the Blizzard. London with a Sound Barrier, Blizzard, and Shatter engage just to deal with Marvel's annihilation. So you remove one tank if you're London, but now what? You lost the poke battle against Glads.
Gladiators still have their work cut out for them. It's 3.5 minutes that they're going to have to keep the London Spitfire at bay. But great staggers onto Admiral and Backbone, and Landon not long for this world either. And Gladiators are definitely starting to pump up the pressure as that cart inches forward. Great job from Gladiators to hold their own.
And that's what I like, the split that Glads have. You know, usually Kai doesn't want to be by themselves. London, though, can't access him this time. So how do London rotate? Maybe this right side corridor just to avoid the poke. But, you know, London, they're confident. They don't care.
They're confident when they're able to just play together as a unit. And Hadi's going to go in and get a big pin. The Mei walls here totally blocking line of sight for these supports.
So London not wanting to deal with the poke heroes on the bridge, just knowing if they play from front to back, that might be enough. But you see London are still suffering and taking poke. Now the Amp Matrix is out from Landon just to force back Gladiators, who re-emerge off of the Blizzard, well placed by Kevster. London tried to go to that right side corridor, but it was kind of already too late. They took so much pressure that they just fell over to Kai.
Kai is doing an amazing job on the Hanzo. You called out his prowess on the Widowmaker, but the Hanzo is another hero he is incredibly efficient at. But he's gonna have to start picking it up as Funny Astro goes down. The backup mechanism for the Gladiators is now out of the picture.
Oh, Glads have to be careful, not having that speed. Immediately giving up bridge here is smart, but you put Sparker in such a power position on this map.
It's coming forward. Gladiators have to respond to this.
Yeah, London are just gonna give up that bridge control just to push this card. The Shatter at the ready just hits Marvel. Cal with the Ant Matrix has his back to pressure back London, who have a Dragon Strike. Sparker lines it up. The May Wall from Backbone to keep them trapped. The Ice Block buys them time, but not the space. And London push it to the end and go to match point.
Every time I feel like I see Backbone with a May Wall, I either get really excited or really scared. It's kind of a mixture of emotions, just seeing what Backbone is able to do with the May Walls. And this time around, it's going to be the Gladiators that are on their backs again, and their backs against the wall. Jen, they could get shut out here in this next map.
Yeah, I was worried about the London rotations there because that point B bridge of Midtown is just so weak for Rush because that bridge control with the poke is
oh, no.
a great power position. Kai tried to find these off angles, right, with the Hanzo. Hadi, he's done this before, even against Yaki on Control Center, where Yaki was on the flank. Hadi pins in these crazy locations just to deal with the one member, although maybe you'd want just Admiral to go deal with that, or someone else. Hadi doesn't care. He's just speeding around the track. Here he's just looking for shatters on not just Marvel, but also the rest of the team. But the way he coordinates with Sparker's Dragon Strike too is what's really painful.
These are prime examples of why London Spitfire are so well known for this composition, and why over these past 3 matches, every team that they've faced has had so much trouble trying to figure out a way that they want to get close enough to this Reinhardt rush. It's been super difficult, but this next map looks like it could be Gladiators territory. Double sniper?
Ooh.
Are you feeling the double sniper?
I'm feeling the Kai carry all the way, but this is also like friendly to the Rush. If you can just go fast enough, London have proven to us time and time again that they can pull off wherever they want. It is match point for London, and after the break, we'll find out what happens on circuit.
Fighting Astro.
That is the delay tactics widely dealt
In a 4v5, oh, not quite so much anymore. Kevster dishing out the damage.
This is giving me vibes of Florida against the Atlanta Rain.
What?
That is dirty. A rough return here, just kind of getting bullied. That was a good shot.
Wave hello, maybe goodbye to the rest of your team, Decay, because Lastro's on the field. Nano Zen just to keep him alive.
It's match point for the London Spitfire heading into our potential final map, but welcome, Cal. I hope you're enjoying your time. I know Glads are going through something right now, but it might be just a long-term plan, kind of the experiments they're pulling off with their backline.
Oh boy. I feel like this stat card is mildly disingenuous. It doesn't make sense to me to see the stats be so in favor of Sparker over Kai, just knowing how good Kai is on the Hanzo as a whole. But I mean, the teamwork of London Spitfire can be felt anywhere, and Sparker being able to capitalize off of the space that Hottie creates, maybe even some of the players that he's able to get out of position, that definitely helps.
And Sparker has become more of that flexible hit scan or range DPS, whatever you want to call it, for the London Spitfire, because no matter what meta that London land on, Sparker is usually the one that has to adapt to it. He does Cassidy pretty consistently. He's experimented with Symmetra just to help this rush kind of gap close a bit better. Occasionally uses the Hanzo, which has, you saw, a great burst of there on Midtown. Whilst Kai maybe, I would say, less flexible, but still mechanically supreme. He's premier. Now you go to a Circuit Royale where if we expect Widow, if we expect at least a range hit scan, can Kai stand up to Sparker? Because I felt like that was pretty evenly matched there on Midtown.
It was very evenly matched, and I think that when you look at what could happen in this next map, well, there's a few things I was actually laughing at here. One was Hottie said that he loves the German Hammerman, which makes a lot of sense. But the second is that Kai is on Junkrat. I repeat, Kai is not on Hanzo, Kai is on Junkrat. That is on the defense, and they have come out of the spawn doors, and Kai is on Junkrat.
Oh boy. Well, this is just some of the tomfoolery that teams have tried to pull out against London. We've seen fire Junkrats from other teams too, just to try and break down Hottie's shield, because that is Rein's weakness, right? How do you break the shield and expose that Reinhardt to damage? Now, speaking of Sparker experimenting with that Symmetra, that's going to help them get to those high grounds to gap close a bit easier.
What's really interesting about looking at Circuit Royale and seeing both of these compositions is that you would typically end up seeing something like the Sojourn Hanzo, Widowmaker Hanzo, some combination of these double long-range hit scans. But London Spitfire is sticking to their tried and true. No Sigma for either for Hottie either. But Marvel's still rocking that and hoping that with the Junkrat increased damage from Kai, we'll be able to get a really nice vantage point onto Hottie's shields. But they've wrapped around, and so here's the power of the Symmetric Teleporter you pointed out.
Ooh. Kevster maybe needs to take a lesson out of Kai's book. Don't play off angles on Hanzo. Doesn't matter how safe you think you are, especially now against the Symmetra. Sparker is helping London get closer and closer, but maybe closer to death too. London just exposed himself to a lot of that ranged poke from Glads. And London managed to get a few trades. Nonetheless, though, London are a bit behind.
Hattie goes down, but take a look at how many picks Landon was able to get, and they're still going to be able to push the payload. Hottie as well with the Reinhardt is able to just go ahead and charge himself back to the point, so it's not like you're really missing out too much, and if you really wanted to, Sparker could put down a teleporter to help Hottie get back too. So that was a very, very fast re-engage for London Spitfire to get all 5, and now the Gladiators get a chance to keep them from capturing this point with was gonna say the Riptire, but hey, the Sigma Flux works great too.
I was thinking, well, if Marvel's the only one anchoring the cart, then Hottie could just swing at him and easily cap, but London make, well, the challenge even harder. They TP to the high ground, decide to kill everyone supporting Marvel. And London still haven't capped, but at least by killing more people, they get more ult charge. Here's the Riptire, though. Shot down there by Sparker. And London not really pulling through on this fight. Oh, until maybe a back cap there by Hottie. Ooh, almost.
I think there was a window of opportunity where London could have just sent somebody back to the point to actually get the point capture, but there's only a few players remaining. There was an Earth Shatter used in this fight as well as a Blizzard, and that's really high investment. Kai with just the question mark. What's happening?
London don't even have their full 5. They're using Shatter and Blizzard. Marvel comes back on the Doomfist, sustains long enough, but that costed London so many ults. When again, I just think that swinging on Marvel on the Sigma would have been enough to cap A. That's just me, though.
How many? Listen, we were trying to keep track of how many turret kills Sparker has been able to get with the Symmetra alone. I think it's too many to count at this point, but there's 2 more that you can add to the tally, at least in that last fight, until Sparker gets sent back to spawn by Kevster. But this Symmetra has been so important for London Spitfire's game plan, and Sparker has been able to come up with these amazing teleporter placements to be able to help navigate the London Spitfire into wacky situations that turn these fights on their heads. They're just huddled in a room right now. You know, group plan? All in handshake?
You thought London were hiding, so Kevster is just poking at this door. All of a sudden, London comes out speeding and swinging, and Kevster kind of misses his climb, and either way, London catch up. It's like cat and mouse, and London just about to push that point B. There's a May wall from Backbone to maybe stop a recontest, and they have the Symmetra TP of Sparker there at the back door in case there were to be any ranged DPS from Gladiators to come out there. Marvel is walled off, and the DPS don't want that smoke in London. We'll just play this from front to back. That's a 5K by Sparker for a point B cap for London.
Do we give that to Sparker's beam or the turrets? I'm not sure yet. I think it's really tough to tell when both pieces of that puzzle are putting in so much work. Sparker definitely earned that 5K, and they might earn a completion on this map as well, with 3 minutes entering into the final point of Circuit Royale. You've got the Photon Barrier to be able to block off any of this damage from the high ground that the Gladiators are standing on. Kevster and Kai will have a tough time being able to get that damage down if that Photon Barrier goes up.
Oh, what? Oh. The Symmetra TP from Sparker, but I think Marvel used the Creation to put them off, and the Hottie Shatter got nothing because it landed on the ground. Gladiators reacted at the perfect time with the perfect cooldown, and London out to head for the hills.
That was so funny. All these fights have been so goofy. I don't think you can even anticipate any of these things happening just because of how lack of trick. It's a Junkrat, actually, is all I can really say about that.
Everything is goofy. Yeah, London TP to the top just to force Gladiators against the wall. Somehow Kai's enough space to go for the Riptire, and Hottie needs to take care of these people behind him if he wants to safely push the cart, and it's been a difficult ride. I think it's a 1v1 between Bob Bell and Sparker. Either way, London have to reset.
Did that just say ew or ow?
I don't know.
I'm a little dyslexic, so I actually can't see that. But, you know, at this point, I'm definitely anticipating a full capture here by London. They have 4 ultimates to throw at this. They just have to throw everything at the tank. That's going to be the Flux here first. Immortality Field?
Yeah, London have a lot banked up for this one. Blizzard, Sounder, Amp, Matrix, vote everything. Gladiators just try to heal back up. Marvel barely being kept up by the transcendence of Babel, and London cap with about 90 seconds. What a roller coaster this was.
I didn't even think London Spitfire were going to get over that first objective, to be fair with you. Felt like they were taking so many fights just down a player, and they were still able to make it work. The Circuit Royale, this is not what you would expect from a typical circuit map. I'm even thinking back, what has been happening on this map in particular, actually? We saw 6 rounds get played of this just last week. At once, in one map, at one time, I don't know. And now we get a chance to see Junkrat go against Reinhardt.
It's been tough for Glad to just have the time to do that. Yeah, we're like hyping up Kai as this like premier Widow, and then it comes out on the Junkrat. And I was expecting even the Hanzo originally, because I think he did fairly well. You know, Midas getting run over in his own spawn by Hottie. Kevster picks it up, and he learned also not to play on off angles. And once they played stacked, it was easy for London to find the good Mei walls off of Backbone, off these isolations. Sometimes London are a little too creative, though. I still think Point A would have had more time. Although 90 seconds is a great time bank for a cap on this map.
Looking great for them to be able to potentially bring us into rounds 3 and 4. I'll just start there, actually. The London Spitfire getting set up on the defense. And the Gladiators are going to try their hand here with a dive coming out of spawn first. I would have liked to see the Junkrat on attack, I'm not gonna lie. Kai, I'm disappointed in you. But this makes a lot more sense, especially when you look at where London Spitfire are going to want to hold this. But London Spitfire can play anti-dive now. They can just wait for Marvel to come to them.
Okay, some extra TP there from Sparker just to get them on the other side of Glads to pinch them from both angles. Gladiators, remember, this whole experiment with the backline was to try and support Marvel better. Now with the double flex, you have a lot more healing. Yes, you're limited on speed. London tried to have the jump on them, setting up on the top left. Doesn't find anything. Hottie is taking so much more poke, though, thanks to this Kiriko and the Ana. Almost would have rathered a Zen to just ruin Hottie's life even more. The anti hits Hottie, and he's not able to TP out in time. So London are down 2, but Glads are way more down bad.
We've got the double flex support coming in from the Gladiators. Was curious to see what we would end up getting out of a Cal and Babel backline. The Kiriko I like, if only to be able to play around the chaos that London Spitfire are creating. With the teleporters, all of the different mobility cooldowns that are existent on the team. The Kiriko gives a great way to be able to flip between the players on the Gladiators too with the Swift Step, just to be able to try to get an angle and also have a great escape mechanism. I think that would be the most important when you have no idea if Hottie's going to be behind you if you're on the Zen.
Kevster trying to come up from behind, but it's going to be tough because the way that London are just so stacked together, maybe you find a pick on the land and force out the immortality. That's just some of the win conditions that Kevster can bring to Gladiators, and well, he's already hunted down Backbone, and there's a pulse to hit Hottie. Dragon Strike to flush out London from the fashion room there, and Hottie's not able to get out in time, so that'll be a Gladiators point A cap with a ton of time to spare.
That's a great capture for the Gladiators, and when you are playing this dive, it gives you so much access to this high ground, which is a point that a lot of teams struggle with. If you're on the defense, you have a natural advantage being able to shoot down onto the point or even just down from height. And the Gladiators can make up for that distance by having Marvel with the Winston, just being able to jump up there. And with the Primal Rage available, he can play way more aggressively. Take a look at where Cal is peeking too. They are looking for that teleporter right now.
The fact they even knew Cal was there is nuts. London maybe didn't know. Either way, the Symmetra TP, they walked into the hands of Gladiators that almost saw this coming. Kitsune Rush, Nano Primal, everything from Glads is coming out. London are fine, just taking the L here and resetting. Hottie's just swinging. He's not going to go down without a fight. Somehow almost wins that against Marvel. I think Marvel dropped down to like 20 or 50 HP, but Kevster's there.
Kevster is there, and also absolutely crushing it, by the way. Kevster has been putting in so much damage and is leading the server right now when it comes to that. It's about 9,000 damage per 10, and the next highest is 7k? Take a look at Kevster. This is Tracer once again in peak form for him. I mean, you've got the Pulse Bomb active. Kevster is hunting Landon, Admiral, anybody at this point to force out the Immortality field and get some of these cooldowns offline.
Hottie tried to see Swifty with the shatter of kind of like 180. It hits Marvel's shield. Kevster couldn't draw out the immortality, but at least the Pulse Bomb will do that, but not getting value from the ultimate. Now Gladiators are hit by the rush of Spitfire, reinvigorated by the Admiral sound barrier. Kai won't be able to get out of this one. He just doesn't have the speed or the mobility, and that's why at least in APAC you see a lot more Sojourn to get away from this. And okay, Kai will get one trade, and for some reason they think this is winnable. I guess the Kai backpack, the Kai carry is real.
Oh, it's so good. It's so real and it is so good. Especially when Cal is going to be able to gift over a nano onto Kai to keep him up and also amplify that damage. It's going to be so nice to be able to see Kai just kind of hold his own. And whether it's going to be the Junkrat to be able to break the shield or even the Storm Arrows from the Hanzo, when he's feeling himself and he's on point, that's really when you start to see Kai wake up. And that's why those stats were also so surprising on that Hanzo head-to-head. Because Kai's definitely been doing some work, even if it doesn't show up in the stats themselves. Let's see what happens with this Dragon Strike.
Marvel has to be so careful, wants to play towards Primal, and I think Backbone holds the Blizzard until the Gladiators dive comes in, but the longer London wait, the more opportunity there is for Kai to hit a headshot on the Hanzo, for Kessler to hit a pulse. There's the dive from Marvel, has the Primal. Backbone is patiently waiting for this Blizzard to drop. And Gladiators, even with the Kitsune rush, are not exactly pulling out ahead. You have Marvel going to Narnia with this Primal to breach the backline, and it left Gladiators pretty exposed, and London not even having to use much there is good for the defense, for sure.
Definitely good for them. You've got the Earthshatter and not a whole lot of real estate for the Gladiators to work with in order to actually make those jumps and make them impactful. And that would be where Hadi would like to operate the most, is when you just gotta come to him. He's not gonna try to come to you in this instance. Especially not with the Earthshatter active. But we are gonna see a switch up here from the Gladiators. Marvel's gonna be dropping the Winston for the Ramatra, and with 40 seconds left, it's all about getting up close and personal with the London Spitfire. But Spitfire has so many resources to make that hard to do. Looking specifically at Backbone's Blizzard in order to just keep the Gladiators at bay and shut them out. This could be the end of the series.
Oh, the shatter just for Marvel. Like, Elite's got nanoed by Cal, but Hadi pins Marvel towards his own team. That sends away the tank of Glads, who have 13 seconds to not lose anyone else. And Cal hits the sleep, but the rest of London know where Cal is. Someone woke up Hadi, but London just want to make sure to retreat back to Cart for the final fight. Can Glads even touch? Kevster will be there to proc overtime, and the Blizzard from Backbone is somewhere. There it is. He must have put it right into the sky, because that took a while for it to sum it up. Either way, Gladiators were not able to get on this cart, so London take the 3-0.
What an impressive 3-0 for London to take as well. Just continuing their streak from last week with the Reinhardt rush. Being able to show everyone that you can still force it and make it work if that's going to be the best composition for you. And who does it better than the London Spitfire, really?
This felt like a really good map set, though, for London, too. Like, you get Lijiang, which is, like, one of the best rush control points. Midtown, very good for the rush, especially off the point. And then Circuit, where, well, they still pulled off the rush, and I think either way that was going to be the case. Gladiators, I mean, they're clearly experimenting with their supports. You know, they brought out Babel for Circuit. They tried some Lucio Bap on Midtown, Double Flex, different things. And I like that this is just going to be a time for them to integrate these supports and find out who's going to enable Marvel the best.
I think things are looking really good for Cal, though. Coming into the roster has some big shoes to fill when it comes down to helping the Gladiators repair their record for this split so far. And I think also gave Marvel a pretty good fighting chance when it came down to the Ana and the Batiste and throwing all of that healing that main tank's way. But it's still some lessons for the Gladiators to learn. I think a lot to be able to take away from this match in particular, but there were a lot of bright spots. Cal, just one of them, and there's still a lot more for the Gladiators, I bet you.
And there's one bright spot on the London Spitfire. Your player of the match is Admiral. The Lucio Taxi God. That really is enabling everyone. I think did an amazing job at trying to ward away Yaki's far at the start of this Gardens from that window, knowing exactly when to tempo engage off the sound barrier, which is obviously a call made by the team, but especially from a leader. And I think Admiral wasn't afraid to go in there with Hadi.
Never afraid of that. And something else that I thought was really interesting in this match in particular was that Admiral was doing a ton of damage. even outmatching some of the damage that we would expect to see from someone like Funny Astro on the other side. Really well known for that aggressive style of Lucio play. And that's something that you can expect out of a Lucio player like Admiral when you are confident in your teammates. You're confident in their ability to enable you and that you trust the plays that they want to make. So fantastic stuff here from Admiral overall. And you should see the number of knockback kills he was able to get to.
Yeah, Admiral, just the fact that this Lucio has so low deaths, because just sometimes as people are skating up the walls, they expose themselves away from the shield when they're being really aggressive, when they're helping these DPS maybe rotate to different sides. No, London really just played stacked together, and I just have to commend kind of the ult usage that Admiral did once again. Just knowing when to sound barrier engage is a critical part of executing a round rush.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no other way to really be able to talk about the London Spitfire except to sing their praises for the Reinhardt rush and to hope that this is something that can continue for them. They're still playing for a spot in the final part of the season. They still have a lot more to show everybody, and there's plenty more matches for them and the Gladiators as we look ahead to the rest of the split.
Yeah, London from 11th place, maybe climbing up off of that, and Gladiators, who are sitting in 7th, are just slowly but surely falling out of the standings, and we'll see if they'll be able to recover in time. But hope you guys can recover during this break. When we get back, we'll hear from the Watchpoint desk, maybe have an interview, and more Overwatch around the corner.
Welcome to the break. Thank you, Darren. You're really trying. Oh, there we go. There we are. Welcome back, everyone.
All right, let's go.
Get back on the same page.
So reliable, Danny. So
clutch
reliable.
moments right there. We're in the completely wrong.
Oh, I'm voting.
Yeah.
It's fine. Just do it live. What do we do?
Okay.
What are we doing? Don't worry, I got you, fam. We're gonna recap all the action of us being right and you being terribly wrong. And we're gonna be
I'm sorry,
in
what
depth
happened?
about that.
Was
Yeah.
he was wrong in his
That
spread.
is that's so weird. Can't believe that
So
happened.
that means
Oh, you're talking, Jake? You're talking?
who's in first
You're
place?
dead last.
Who's in first
You're
place?
dead last.
Congratulations.
All I'm saying
thank you so much.
is that so he's in first now. There's a reason she was highlighted. They just knew.
They just knew.
Just knew.
Who are you? Who are you, Jake? Who is last?
I'm just happy for
and
Zoe.
argues like
I'm just
this?
happy for Zoe. I'm not arguing for anything.
It doesn't matter if he's last, like by the numbers. According to chat, he's always first.
That's right. I got second place in the chat poll, Johnny. So how you feel about that?
Oh, you're last on the chat poll too.
That's true, actually.
I'm not last. I'm never last anymore. Yeah.
Dishing out here, we're dishing out here, and we're not the only ones doing just that. London made quick work of the Gladiators, big time. Let's actually talk about how they managed to keep on riding that high. I'm so sorry, Johnny. No, I mean it. It comes from the bottom of my heart.
Just wait to twist the knife later. I mean, honestly though, I feel like the Gladiators, they tried to take the mirror in this series. They had confidence that they could be the stronger team. They could take this heads-up match, and they were wrong. I mean, London just slapped them around, honestly. Like this called map was extremely close. Like I could have seen this going the way of the Glads. I like this sort of version of what the Shock ran on Lijiang Garden. I think it's like a great map for it. So I mean, I respect some of the strategies that Gladiators brought to bear. I don't think they were like completely crazy. But then Gladiators managed to win, or rather London managed to win on Circuit Royale, which really threw me for a loop. That's a very hard map to win on Ryan, especially on the offense. But they made it work. And so the question is sort of, is there anywhere it won't work? Or what's the team that's going to shut them down? I think Gladiators has their own struggles, so too soon to say yet whether this London team really can like go far in the play-ins, but I don't think it's a stretch to say that they're likely to make that play-in tournament to get out of the bottom three.
I mean, the Gladiators, like you said, they kind of played into it, right? We saw Ramatra a lot, and here on Midtown, for example, like the London Spitfire, they just feel comfortable designing the battlefield around their May walls and around their Reinhardt, right, and what they can do. So it felt like the Gladiators kind of did play into it. And at this point, you know, I've been very hard on teams saying like, hey, you should play Winston. But like, the fact of the matter is, like, forcing Winston on a map like Midtown, for example, forcing it on Lijiang Control Center, this stuff, like it can be quite difficult. So I'm not blaming the Gladiators for opting into a Ramatra duel. Here on Circuit Royale, like you said, I mean, you throw out the Kai Junkrat and kind of hope for the best. Marvel is still on the Sigma. So you could definitely see that the map pool, the Gladiators had some, you know, questions around like, hey, what do we play on these maps? And I don't blame them for that necessarily. I think the London Spitfire, they knew what they were going to do. They knew they were going to force the Reinhardt, force the May, the Symmetra to get around, because that's what they do, right? And the Gladiators, they just couldn't find the answers on these maps because honestly, they're quite tricky to work around Reinhardt comps.
I feel like that's so frustrating, Zoe. It's like they're coming in with a plan. They knew what you got to do. But everyone who plays against the London Spitfire should know well in advance what they're going to face off against.
Yeah, but you know, even so, like you kind of have to make a choice, like what composition how you're going to operate around the London Spitfire's Reinhardt composition, right? And like I've said numerous times, like if you're a great dive team, you should be able to play dive around the London Spitfire. But fact of the matter is, Midtown, Circuit Royale, it can be complicated, especially if you have a new tank, you have a new support player coming into this team as well. Kai and Yaki, you know, they differed some playtime there. So the Gladiators, I don't think they're in a place right now where they felt comfortable with new pickups into their roster, countering this London Spitfire team. That obviously feels really confident.
A few words there, though. This was the first time we actually got to see Cal play. How did they perform, in your opinion?
I think Cal's performance was solid. Like they were playing a ton of different heroes. We saw variety we saw main support, we saw flex support, which is one of the most important things that I'm looking for when it comes to new support players in the league, especially in Overwatch 2. This distinction between main support and flex support is fading away, and the best support players can handle like a lot of heroes across the roster, kind of regardless of whether they were considered main or flex in the past. So Cal's performance was I think great. I don't think London, or rather, I don't think Gladiators can look at their performance as like an issue or a problem here. If anything, it was just London outplayed them. Like I don't feel like it was some obvious slip up from Glads like you have to correct. It's just getting outplayed by this Ryan Sim comp. And in fairness to the Gladiators, right? you can theory craft all you want, but you do not get any practice against this Rhine Sim comp because London's the only team who's playing it, and you're not going to scrim the team that you're going to play in a match. And so you come up with these ideas like this seems like it will work. But I think, Johnny, you're onto something where I think teams should really just be playing their best style against the Rhine comp and not trying to like be, unless there's certain maps you can have that specialized strat. I don't hate that, like what Shock did on Gibraltar. But I do think for most maps, if you're a dive team, stick to dive. If you're a rush team, you like playing rush, stick to rush. But for Gladiators, I just don't know what that identity is yet. I think they're still searching for it.
I mean, London definitely has a strong identity with those rush comms, and there's rush comms, and then there's also Hadi on Rhine comms kind of thing, right? So you have a great display of all the glory of Hadi's Rhine.
Yeah, I figured I'd illustrate a Rhino player for once and actually, highlight what Hadi does so well. So I got 3 clips here on Midtown that I really just want to showcase to you. So the first one, we see London Spitfire, they're on defense here and they're defending the point. You can see they're neatly stacked up around the point here. Looks very beautiful, actually. And meanwhile, the LA Gladiators, they're going to take all this space around the point, really. And we're going to see that Hadi in particular really does a great job at sort of navigating around that. So right now, Hadi, he is the front line on the point pretty much. Nope. Try one more time. There he goes. He's pretty much holding the front line on the point. Now, you're going to see him do a few things. First of all, he's holding this corner as to not take any poke from the Hanzo and from Funny Astro, from these damaged players, right? So he's utilizing the wall to his advantage. But also, because he knows that Marvel is here by the fire truck, he knows that there's not going to be a rush coming between these 2 doors in the corridor. So you're going to see as we play this one out, he's actually going to hold that doorway off. He's going to peek through a fire strike, for example, and just like hold off that angle while utilizing the walls. Now we can actually pause here and take a look at how spread out the Gladiators are. So, for example, we got Marvel down here. I mean, he's already low, utilizing his Annihilation. We have Funny Astro and Kevster over here, and Cal is over here, right? So the Gladiators are very spread out. Hadi immediately recognizes this, and he's going to pin backwards onto Marvel because he acknowledges that like they're so spread out. So we can play this one out. Hadi comes in with the pin. Great recognition of positioning right here. He's gone. Marvel's out. Bye. Later. Fight 1. You don't have a tank anymore. Goodbye. Landon does go down. Trust me, they win the fight. Anyway, on to the next one. What are we doing here? Well, tons of ultimate advantage here for Lone Spitfire. I mean, that is a lot of ultimates right there. That's an ultimate bank. CP would call it a war chest. So there you go. Let's see how they do this one. We can play this one out. And actually, we're going to see that Marvel goes into Nemesis form, and the Shatter is dropped, no shield available. And we're going to see how they turn this battlefield into theirs. Immortality Field comes out from the Gladiators. Hadi pins away from the Gladiators' Immortality Field. And as we pause here, we can pause. Look at that. I mean, Landon has already thrown in the lamp to protect Hadi. And this is now the London Spitfire battlefield. This is where they're taking this fight, right? Because they've already thrown in that lamp there. They know what they're doing. And Sparker's Dragon comes in. We can play this one out. Hadi does go down, but they've already managed the battlefield. They've created where they take this engagement, and Sparker's Assault gets a 2K. Last fight here on Midtown. We can go ahead and see the Shatter come out. I mean, Marvel's punching, but that's not gonna help you. And pause. Well, okay, you shattered. Like, what? You didn't get any value from the Shatter? Well, actually, you did get out this little thing. No? Okay. You did get out this little thing. It's lamp. It's the lamp, guys. It's the Immortality Field. They got the Immortality Field out with your Shatter. Kai goes down as well, but you can play this one out. They got the Immortality Field out from the Shatter. Gladiators recognize the danger of Hadi Earth Shattering right there. And it's actually going to be the Dragon Strike and the wall following up there from Backbone. That actually clears the way for the LA Gladiators to win that one. So you can see that the Shatter wasn't used to necessarily get the frags, but the Shatter was used to get the Immortality Field out, and that allowed the Dragon to come up through from Sparker, and London Spitfire wins the map. So a lot of team coordination, but also Hadi, great recognition of the situation right there.
Yeah, absolutely. His awareness in games is bar none on that Reinhardt. And we, of course, have the man of the hour with us for a quick chat after their glorious victory. Just another one in the book, Hadi. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, I'll start it off, Hadi. What I want to know is, the season started off not how you guys wanted. Like, it was a slow start, if we're honest. But now, you guys are back to your roots, and you're on an absolute hot streak on the Rhine. Where do you guys see? What are your goals for the season? Where do you see the future for your team and this style?
I mean, we of course want to just qualify for play-ins and then get as far as possible. If we make playoffs, it's great, but just qualifying for play-ins, having a good run, that's like our main goal right now.
We spoke to Backbone last time you guys won this match last week, and he talked about how much fun it was playing Reinhardt compositions and actually like winning some of these games compared to perhaps struggling playing the dive composition. How does it feel for you being the Reinhardt player? How are you enjoying practice and enjoying matches these days compared to a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, it's like way more fun than a couple of weeks ago. It feels like less pressure on us in general, makes us able to just perform better. We're playing our comfort heroes. We know exactly what we're doing every time. We're not like playing catch up to some of these like superstar teams playing dive. It feels like way more comfortable for us now.
I mean, talking about comfort heroes, I mean, you are probably the best Ryan that we have in the league. So, you know, we all just want to be like you, Hadi. We need some tips to becoming a chatty on Ryan. Do you have any tips on like landing those charge pins or landing better hammers? Like any tips?
I think it might just be genetics.
Dang it!
That's great.
Absolutely love this. I mean, dude, you do be built different on that, right? We see that time and time again. So we hope to see much more of that. Is there anything that could happen which makes you guys stop using that composition, or are you just gonna ride it till the end?
I think we're kind of ride or die right now. I don't think we're gonna stop. But I just want to say, I think I'm really good at Rhine, but I think like all my teammates are also just the best at their heroes. So that like makes our comp like so much easier. It's like I'm getting carried a lot. It's not just me playing Reinhardt, you know.
No, it's a team effort, and that shows. It is very entertaining, that's for sure. So thank you so much for keeping all the fun up when you guys are joining the servers. Best of luck in your next games.
Thank you.
Right on. It is just genetics if you're a hottie, and we can just aspire to reach those levels.
I really love the point he made, though, about the team, because I was thinking about this when Backbone mentioned, you know, like when playing dive, they're not on comfort heroes. And it's like, yeah, like literally 0 out of 5 players on that team are like on their comfort when they're playing a dive comp, versus all 5 of them are on like solid comfort heroes that they're really good at in the Rhine rush, right? It is not just Hottie Rhine. You know, we've got Admiral on the Lucio. Landon's BAP has been really, really clean this season. A crucial element of that comp where if your BAP is slipping or not, you need to like kill things on BAP to make that comp really work, and Landon delivers. And then Backbone's May and Sparker on whether it's the hit scan heroes, the Hanzo or the Symmetra, looks great. So it's like across the board, you've got 5 players who are really comfortable in this comp. You know, I think just Hottie's very much right. Even if it was just Hottie, I don't think he could deliver the same results without that incredibly solid team. They all understand the comp. They all understand their roles. And that just enables them all to succeed on a level that the sum of the parts, you know, like the team is better than the sum of its parts, I think, when they're all together and they're all on their comfort heroes. Maybe it speaks to some fundamental truth about Overwatch. You got to play what you're good at. You got to stick to your guns.
Yeah, and have fun whilst doing so as well. And that's very evident when we're watching them play and when we get to chat to them right after the match as well. Now, moving on to our second match of the day, LA Valiant will have to punch upward when facing up against the Boston Uprising, who are currently in the very upper half of the bracket. Can't say the same thing about the LA Valiant, although they finally do have 1 W in their column. But it is going to be a tough battle, because look at who are they going to face off against. Boston Uprising is just 1-star player in every single role they got. So Valiant is not going to have an easy time of it. And Johnny, you find that incredibly fun.
Talk about comfort heroes.
Well, you better stick to those.
Rolling out on Winston, Sombra Tracer, right? But Valiant has it cut out for them.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I think a lot, as time has gone on here, like a lot of teams have come back to their comfort, right? You look at what's worked for Valiant, even though they only have 1 win, right? They have pushed a few teams to map 5. They've had close series. It's been Seeker on the Sojourn, by and large, having a huge impact. I think across the board as well, I think Nas has had a lot of flexibility, so he's succeeding on the Tracer, the May, whatever is needed, and Krawi bringing a lot of these like Queens and Ramatras into play. So I think across the board, for Valiant, like they're coming to some of the same conclusions as London, but when you go up against one of these top teams, right? Like there's a reason that the top 4 teams, I think there's like what, 4 wins between the Outlaws, who are I think currently the 4th, and the next team below them. I mean, there's a big gap. So the question is, can anyone really access that top of the leaderboard from down at the bottom? It's a tough ask.
I mean, the good news is that there is a lot less pressure, of course, if you're coming into a match as the clear underdog, as is the case in this very matchup. And Danny actually got a chance to catch up with Liger as well as Seeker, so let's see what they have to say.
What's your take on the Boston Uprising currently?
They're a good team. Good guys, good team, funny guys, you know. I love Boston.
Boston, I think, has gone even better since the break, and like Seeker said, like they're honestly really funny. Twilight is so funny. I love that guy. I'm looking forward to that match for sure. It's going to be interesting. I'm hoping that, you know, we're playing well that day and up to our standards, and I think it honestly might be closer than people think.
One thing's for sure.
That was the catchphrase at the end. Liar said closer than people think. So maybe they have some tricks up their sleeves.
I think we're gonna get some all chat in this series, guys. I can smell it. We got some all chat cooking, baby. If there's no all chat, I'm gonna be deeply disappointed in both of these teams.
Yeah, no, and we gotta see it from both sides as well.
Oh yeah, if Twilight doesn't clap, Twilight's gonna be. It's gonna be Twilight and Seeker. All the Valiant players are gonna start going. That's gonna bring more Boston players. It's gonna get crazy. This might be our biggest all chat series yet. I'm kind of feeling that's the vibe.
That's what we're keeping our eyes on for this one. Let's see where our predictions are going. I do feel like this is most likely going to look like a more one-sided affair. Maybe chat thinks different, but I went with the Boston Uprising. I don't really think you have to give much explanation for that. While the Valiant has been looking better, it's not going to be enough to take down the Boston Uprising.
I agree. I mean, Valiant are looking better, but Boston Uprising as well. They have been looking better as well, coming into the summer stage as well. So I had to go with Boston Uprising.
Yeah, I went with Boston too. The clear favorite in the series. I think the top four in the West just look a little bit untouchable. They've been able to beat each other, but very few teams have really been a threat to them, and I think Boston's in that group.
I'm going Boston too. But I feel like there's something in the air. I don't know what it is.
Is that what you printed 3-0? At least give them a math into something in the air.
I just felt it now. It was like a wave of emotion.
The vibe.
It just washed over me like the upset alert. I was like, what if Valiant get a good map pool and they play like Ramatra Brawl and then Boston Hill? I just felt a wave overcoming. It's like I felt like
do you want to change your prediction? I'll let you.
No.
Are you sure?
No.
Yeah, we can always swap it over.
For you.
Chat more than 5%. Come on, it needs to be higher than 5%.
Let's see if chat smells something
higher
in
than 5%.
Is there something in your tea leaves this morning?
Come on, you can feel it with me, right?
Oh, that is higher than 5, not by much.
I want to hope for more, but I swear it felt like what is it called, like paranormal?
Paranormal activity.
Yeah,
you feel the ghosts of the LA Valiant.
Ghosts. Wings out. Agilities.
I think these rush comps can work, but what we'll see in this series is how it fares against an elite dive team, not just, you know, a team that's like one of the best dive teams. How do they deal with it? I think this will be an educational experience, perhaps, for the rush teams in the Overwatch League.
Yeah, and I don't think that Boston Uprising is going to play with their food here. I do think they're going to make this a quick one, so they have off for the rest of the day. But let's see. Maybe Johnny's onto something, even though he's not onto something enough to actually, you know, pred it. But did you guys feel something in the air for this one, or just nothing?
You're performing as fans?
Feeling something, but not what Johnny's up to. Talk about aliens. We got ghosts going on the desk. Chat, 8% for Valiant. They're believers. Maybe it's just their favorite shade of blue. I don't know. What do you think, Rose?
I mean, I'm down for the Valiant shade of blue. If I had to pick one, I think it'd be Valiant's blue over the Boston blue. But I live in Boston now, so that's conflicting. I don't like that question.
I don't know, but I gotta agree, like, logically, you would put the dollars on Boston, right? The experience, the wealth of just knowledge that these players have, the mechanics next level. You look at LA Valiant, where a lot of these players, this is their first Overwatch League team. This is their first season.
Their first season, but they're still just having a great time. You even heard it from that interview that Danny conducted, that Valiant they're here, they want to enjoy the game, they really respect their opponents in Boston Uprising, and I'm so excited to see what that means they bring to the table, because I'm very intrigued at that last sentence too. What are they cooking? What are they cooking?
Because you can cook all kinds of stuff on Control. This is where you're gonna see the wackiest of whack. But what's wacky too is just LA Valiant. They don't seem to have that identity, right? This is not a meta that fits them perfectly. Like Crawley coming out as an off tank, having to play a Winston meta against like some of the best Winstons in the world in the West. That's a tough ask. I like that Valiant though. They have mad respect for Boston. They're also very nice. I would expect that at least from Seeker, my fellow Canadian.
But what is it that they say? The Canadians are very polite, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you all are very polite. Every Canadian I've run into is definitely like that.
Just don't be mean, game. Then we'll keep up that stereotype. Where Jake seemed to think that there's going to be a lot of chatting.
I mean, there is some. I don't know what these years are talking about. That moved very fast. So let's go move into the game, because apparently it's 1937 somewhere for someone. But it is definitely 2023 when you take a look at these compositions. It's Silver Tracer Dive all the way. And based on how Boston Uprising have been playing with this composition, they look in a great position to take this first round if they can keep up their positioning at the moment. And if Berggren can actually access the back line.
So far, Boston are getting the cap through. Yeah, it was beautiful anti by Twilight. Liar is down, and CJ can't do all that healing by himself. So Boston are going to see if they can hunt for more kills. And this is also a different approach from Valiant, who last time on Busan Sanctuary actually preferred the Junker Queen and some Cassidy action. So Valiant are going through different strategies.
Kind of hoping we'd see that again here. Just leaning a little bit more into their comfort and trying to beat the Boston Uprising at their own game. But we got the Summer EMP starting to come online. The Winstons trying to get in there. Decay, though, having the time of his life already. Gonna have a Pulse Bomb up before we even see a Nano. It is so rare to see that, I feel like, nowadays, just given how much impact these Anas are having in this meta.
Yeah, Boston just picking up this new coach in Curry, right? Giving that player perspective has been important. And look how much more structured Boston are. They collapse on Crawley's dive before Valiant could even get set up. And maybe Crawley is a little bit too eager, needs to maybe wait for Seeker to get a hack or for Nos to get into position. And as soon as Valiant lose one, all the dominoes fall after that.
That's something Boston Uprising really have started to get better at. They came into this second half of the season looking so much stronger, and it does come down to that communication and coordination that you can feel with every single dive that they initiate. Valiant have had a hard time getting back into this one, and Birdring looking ready with the EMP is looking at Liar. Definitely looking at Liar.
Yeah, you get the assassination onto Twilight.